Let's cut through the noise for a minute. Every single day, you're bombarded with advice about what women want. The internet screams at you from a million different directions. Be more confident, be more vulnerable, be more successful, be more sensitive, be the stoic rock, be the emotionally open poet. The contradictions are enough to drive anyone crazy. You try to follow one piece of advice and it feels wrong. You try another and it backfires. It can feel like you're navigating a maze with no map, constantly hitting dead ends. But what if I told you there's a reason for all this confusion? Here's the truth nobody's talking about. Attraction isn't universal. That perfect man checklist you see in magazines, the one with the six-pack, the six-figure salary, and the heart of a saint, is pure fantasy. Real, lasting, magnetic attraction is far more nuanced. It operates on a deeper, more primal level. After years of conversations with women across different backgrounds, ages, and experiences, I've noticed something fascinating. While their types may vary on the surface, there are 4 specific traits that consistently create deep magnetic attraction. I'm not talking about surface-level interest or casual attention. I'm talking about the kind of attraction that keeps her thinking about you when you're not around. The kind that has her friends asking, "What is it about him?" The kind that feels less like a choice and more like a gravitational pull. And here's the kicker. Only about 1% of men naturally embody all 4. This isn't about genetics. This isn't about looks, money, or status. These are behavioral patterns, mindsets, ways of moving through the world that trigger something primal and powerful in the female psyche. Something evolution has wired women to respond to. The good news is, these aren't traits you're born with. They're traits you can develop. They are skills of character. I've seen it happen. I've done it myself. So, in this video, we're going to break down these 4 traits that separate the merely likable from the absolutely magnetic. This isn't about changing who you are. It's about becoming more fully yourself, the most balanced, developed version of who you already are. Let's begin. Trait 1, relaxed intensity. The first trait sounds like a paradox, a contradiction in terms. But it's this very fusion of 2 opposing qualities that makes it so rare and so powerfully attractive. It's called relaxed intensity. The common misconception, the 99%, go to any social gathering, a bar, a party, a networking event, and you'll see most men fall into one of 2 ineffective categories. First, you have the anxious try-hard. He's talking too loud, moving too fast, his eyes darting around the room. He's constantly checking to see if people are watching him. His energy is frantic, needy. He's trying so hard to project confidence that he screams insecurity. He rushes to fill silences because he's terrified of them. He's trying to be the center of attention, but his intensity is anxious and repelling. On the other end of the spectrum, you have the passive observer. He's completely checked out. He's slouched in the corner, scrolling through his phone, radiating an aura of boredom or social anxiety. He might be relaxed, but it's a relaxation born of apathy, not presence. He's so afraid of trying too hard that he doesn't try at all. Both men fail because they can only grasp one side of the coin. The embodiment of the trait, the 1%. The man with relaxed intensity is different. He moves deliberately. He speaks more slowly, more thoughtfully. There's an economy to his words and movements. He's not rushing. There's a gravity to him. He is completely at ease in his own skin, while simultaneously directing focused attention toward what matters to you. It's being calm but not passive, driven but not anxious. When he listens, he actually listens, not just waiting for his turn to speak. His presence is total. When he focuses on someone, they feel like the only person in the room. His intensity isn't frantic, it's focused. His relaxation isn't lazy, it's grounded. Deep psychological and evolutionary analysis. Why this is so magnetic. This quality is magnetic because it signals something crucial to a woman's primal brain: self-regulation. On an evolutionary level, a man who cannot control his own emotional state is a liability. He panics in a crisis. He makes impulsive, dangerous decisions. He is not a safe bet. The man who embodies relaxed intensity demonstrates that he is the master of his own inner world. He doesn't need external validation to feel calm, and he doesn't need external pressure to be driven. He's not desperate for attention, not frantically trying to prove your worth. He's content, but not complacent. This combination is the ultimate signal of a high-value leader and protector. The relaxed part says, I am in control of myself and this situation. You are safe with me. The intensity part says, I have focus and drive. I can achieve goals and provide. He is simultaneously a harbor in the storm and the captain of the ship. This dual quality is profoundly reassuring and attractive. A typical story. The source material gives a perfect example. A woman recalled her first date with her future husband of 20 years. The restaurant lost their reservation. She said that every other man she had dated would have reacted in one of two ways, either exploding in anger at the staff or becoming visibly flustered and apologetic, ruining the mood. That's the classic split, anxious intensity or passive defeat. But her future husband did neither. He just smiled, put his hand gently on the small of her back, a gesture of calm leadership, and said, Their loss. I know a better place anyway. He was completely unfazed. He didn't let an external event dictate his internal state. He was relaxed, but he immediately took charge with a new plan. He was intense. That is relaxed intensity in action. Practical development path. How to cultivate this trait. Practice deliberate slowness. For 1 week, make a conscious effort to slow down by 25%. Walk slower, speak slower, eat slower. This forces your nervous system to exit the fight or flight mode of the anxious try-hard and enter a more grounded state. Mindfulness of breath. This isn't a new age cliche, it's a neurological tool. When you feel anxious or rushed, take 60 seconds to focus solely on your breath. Inhale for 4 seconds, hold for 4, exhale for 6. This simple act physically calms the body and centers the mind. Active listening training. In your next conversation, set a single intention to understand the other person's point so well that you could argue it for them. This shifts your focus from "what do I say next" to true, intense listening. It makes the other person feel seen and valued. Embrace. Pauses. Don't be afraid of silence in conversation. A man who is comfortable with silence is a man who is comfortable with himself. Let a moment hang in the air. It gives your words more weight and demonstrates unshakable composure. Pattern. Trait 2. Authentic conviction. In a world where everyone is trying to fit in, the most attractive thing you can do is stand for something. But what does it really mean to have conviction, and why is it so rare? The common misconception, the 99%. Most men struggle to balance two things, being liked and being respected. This leads to two common failure modes. The first is the people pleaser. He's terrified of conflict and disapproval. He will shapeshift into whatever he thinks the person in front of him wants. With his work friends, he's the party guy. With his family, he's conservative and traditional. With a woman he wants to attract, he'll mirror her every opinion. He thinks he's being adaptable, but women sense something is off. There's no core to grab onto. The second failure mode is the dogmatic bully. He mistakes being stubborn or domineering for having conviction. He argues his points aggressively, not to seek truth, but to win. He shuts down differing opinions and can't handle being challenged. His conviction isn't authentic. It's a brittle shield for his ego. The embodiment of the trait. The 1%. Authentic conviction means having clear values and boundaries that you genuinely believe in, not ones you've adopted to impress others. And crucially, it means being willing to stand by them even when it's uncomfortable. It's about having thought deeply about your values and living in alignment with them. The man with authentic conviction is the same person in every room he enters. He can state his opinion respectfully without needing everyone to agree with him. He can also listen to a differing opinion without feeling threatened. His identity isn't fragile, it's grounded. Deep psychological and evolutionary analysis, why this is so magnetic. Authentic conviction is attractive because it signals reliability and predictability, not in a boring way, but in a trustworthy way. A woman's brain is wired to seek stability and safety. A man whose beliefs and behaviors shift with the social winds is unpredictable. He cannot be trusted. She doesn't have to constantly reassess where she stands with him. She can relax around a man whose behavior tomorrow will align with who he was yesterday. His conviction acts as a lighthouse, a fixed point in a chaotic world. It tells her that he has a strong internal compass that isn't swayed by what's popular or convenient. Furthermore, it demonstrates integrity. Integrity is the alignment of your values, words, and actions. It's a form of honesty that goes beyond simply not telling lies. It's about being true to yourself. This quality is incredibly rare and signals a man of high character, someone dependable enough to build a life with. A typical story, take the chameleon example from the source text. A guy was good-looking, had a good job, and was funny, but his relationships kept failing. The coach discovered that he was a different person in every context. The women he dated felt this inconsistency. They couldn't trust him because there was no real him to trust. There was no sense of who he really was beneath the performance. Now imagine a different man, David. David is on a date, and the topic of a controversial social issue comes up. His date has a strong opinion, one that differs from his. Instead of immediately agreeing with her to be liked, David says, "That's an interesting perspective. I see it a bit differently. For me, I value his core value, so I lean this way." He doesn't say she's wrong. He doesn't get aggressive. He simply states his conviction calmly and respectfully. His date might not agree with him, but she will absolutely respect him. She learns that he is a man who thinks for himself, a man with a spine. That is far more attractive than a man who just agrees with everything. Practical development path. How to cultivate this trait. The values. Clarification exercise. Take 30 minutes and write down your top 5 core values. Examples: honesty, loyalty, growth, freedom, family, adventure. For each one, write a single sentence about what it means to you. This is your personal constitution. Practice low-stakes disagreement. You don't have to start with big, controversial topics. Start small. If a friend suggests a movie you don't want to see, don't just go along with it. Respectfully suggest something else. This builds the muscle of holding your own frame. Conduct a consistency audit. At the end of the week, reflect on your actions. Did you say you were going to the gym and then skip it? Did you compromise a value to please someone? Notice where your actions and values misalign without judgment and aim to close that gap. Consume quality, not just quantity. Your convictions are shaped by your inputs. Read books that challenge you. Listen to podcasts from thinkers you respect. Engage with ideas. Don't just passively consume entertainment. This deepens your well of thought from which your convictions are drawn. Toolum. Trait 3. Playful competence. What if being attractive wasn't about being the best, but about being good at something while having the most fun doing it? Let's explore the magnetic power of playful competence. The common misconception, the 99%. When it comes to skills and abilities, most men approach them all wrong. They fall into 2 camps. First is the technical bore. He becomes technically proficient at something, playing guitar, coding, his job, but he's overly serious about it. He treats his abilities as a burden rather than a joy. He might be impressive, but he's not fun to be around. His competence is heavy, weighed down by his ego and his need to be seen as an expert. The second camp is the playful amateur. He's fun and lighthearted, but he never develops true mastery of anything substantial. He dabbles in everything but excels at nothing. He's enjoyable for a moment, but he lacks the depth and capability that creates lasting admiration. The embodiment of the trait, the 1%. Playful competence is the sweet spot between skilled capability and lighthearted enjoyment. It's being genuinely good at something, ideally several things, while maintaining a sense of joy and ease about it. It's mastery without the ego, excellence without the arrogance. Have you ever watched someone do something difficult with seemingly effortless skill and enjoyment? Maybe they're playing an instrument, fixing something complex, or even just telling a perfectly timed story that has everyone captivated. That quality is mesmerizing. He wasn't showing off, he was simply expressing different facets of his competence while genuinely enjoying himself. Deep psychological and evolutionary analysis. Why this is so magnetic. This trait is a powerful indicator of both genetic fitness and a positive life outlook. On a primal level, competence, the ability to effectively manipulate one's environment, signals intelligence, resourcefulness, and the capacity to provide and protect. It shows you can solve problems. The playful aspect is equally important. It signals that you are not just a joyless drone. It shows you have a surplus of energy, that you are not bogged down by the struggle for survival. You can find joy and lightness in your abilities. This combination is incredibly attractive. It says, I am highly capable, and my life is a source of joy, not a burden. A woman observing this thinks, being in his world would be both safe and fun. This quality of effortless ease is sometimes called sprezzatura, an Italian concept of making difficult things look easy. It's the opposite of trying too hard. It's the result of having tried so hard in private that your skill becomes second nature in public. A typical story, the source provides a great example. The narrator had dinner with a friend and her new boyfriend. Throughout the evening, he demonstrated competence in multiple small ways. He recommended a wine to complement the meal, showing his knowledge. He engaged with the waiter in their native language, showing cultural awareness. He made his girlfriend laugh with subtle wordplay, showing verbal intelligence. Everything he did had this quality of casual excellence. When the narrator later asked her friend what attracted her to him, she said, "He makes everything look easy, but not in an arrogant way. He seems delighted by life." He didn't announce his skills, he just embodied them. Practical development path. How to cultivate this trait. Choose your arena. Pick one or two things you're genuinely interested in and commit to getting good at them. It could be cooking, a musical instrument, a language, public speaking, dancing, or a sport. Embrace the suckfest. The path to competence goes through a phase of being terrible at something. Embrace it. Laugh at your mistakes. The playful part starts here, by not taking your initial failures too seriously. Focus on process, not just outcome. Find joy in the act of practicing, not just in the dream of being great. Fall in love with the daily grind of getting better. This internal motivation is the source of the playful spirit. Find opportunities to express, not impress. Don't look for chances to show off. Look for chances to use your skills to add value or bring joy to a situation. Cook a meal for friends. Play a song at a bonfire. Use your language skills to help a tourist. The focus should be on sharing, not displaying. The magic lies in the combination. Put in the hard work to become legitimately good at things, but never lose the playful spirit that made you pursue them in the first place. Tat. Trait 4, attuned independence. The final trait is the ultimate paradox, and mastering it makes you truly exceptional. How can you be completely independent and deeply connected at the same time? The common misconception, the 99%. Most men get this catastrophically wrong, swinging to one of two extremes. On one side, you have the emotionally oblivious loner. He maintains his independence by being distant or detached. He has his own life, his own hobbies, and he protects them fiercely, but he's emotionally tone deaf. He can't read the room, can't sense what his partner is feeling, and often makes her feel unseen or unheard. His independence comes at the cost of connection. On the other side, you have the codependent orbiter. He becomes so attuned to a woman's needs that he sacrifices his autonomy entirely. He becomes a yes man with no separate identity. His own friends, interests, and goals dissolve when he enters a relationship. He thinks this makes him a devoted partner, but over time, she loses respect for the man who abandoned himself to please her. The embodiment of this trait, the 1%. Attuned independence means being completely capable of standing on your own, emotionally, socially, practically, while simultaneously having the sensitivity to tune into another's emotional state and needs. The independent part is about having your own fully developed life, interests, and identity. He doesn't need her to be his everything. The attuned part is about having the emotional intelligence to read the room, to sense what others are feeling, to know when to step forward and when to step back. He can feel what she feels, but he never loses himself in it. Deep psychological and evolutionary analysis. Why this is so magnetic. This trait is the hallmark of a securely attached individual and the ideal partner. The independence signals that you are not a burden. You will not drain her energy or make her responsible for your happiness. You are a whole person, not a half looking to be completed. This gives her the freedom to be with you without feeling suffocated. The attunement signals that you are a capable and caring partner. It shows you have empathy and emotional intelligence, critical skills for navigating the complexities of a long-term relationship. It tells her that she will be seen, heard, and understood. The combination is the ultimate psychological safe space. She knows you have your own world, so she doesn't feel the pressure of being your only source of happiness. But she also knows that you can step into her world and understand her emotions without judgment. This balance is the foundation of deep, lasting attraction and trust. A typical story. A woman described her attraction to her partner of 5 years. She said, "He has his own world that he loves, his friends, his hobbies, his work passions. He doesn't need me to be his everything. But somehow he can walk through the door after a day apart, take one look at me, and know exactly what kind of day I've had. He can tell if I need space, or conversation, or just silent company. He feels what I feel, but he never loses himself in it." This is the perfect embodiment. He is a rock, but a rock that can sense the tide. Practical development path. How to cultivate this trait. Schedule sovereign time. Just as you'd schedule a date, schedule time for yourself and your interests. This is non-negotiable time to work on your mission or recharge. This builds the independence muscle. Practice receptive listening. This is different from active listening. When she is talking about a problem, your goal is not to solve it. Your goal is to understand the feeling behind the words. Ask questions like, "How did that make you feel?" Or, "What was that like for you?" This builds the attunement muscle. Develop your social circle. Maintain strong friendships outside of your romantic relationship. A man with a healthy social life is less likely to become codependent on his partner for all his social and emotional needs. The one-look exercise. When you come home or meet up with your partner, take one conscious second to just observe her before you speak. Look at her face, her posture, her energy. Make a mental guess about her mood, then engage. Over time, this builds your intuitive attunement. Conclusion: becoming the 1%. So, there they are, the 4 traits that genuinely drive women wild: relaxed intensity, authentic conviction, playful competence, and attuned independence. The rare combinations that signal to a woman's instincts that you're not just another guy, you're exceptional. Now, I said only 1% of men naturally possess all 4. But here's the empowering truth. These traits can be developed. They don't require special genetics or a privileged background. They require self-awareness, intentional practice, and a willingness to integrate seemingly opposing qualities within yourself. The journey to embodying these traits isn't about becoming someone you're not. It's about shedding the layers of social conditioning, insecurity, and bad advice that have been holding you back. It's about becoming more fully yourself, the most balanced, developed version of who you already are. So, I want you to ask yourself honestly, which of these 4 do you already possess, and which needs the most work? Be honest. The gap between where you are and where you could be, that's your roadmap. That's your roadmap to becoming the kind of man who doesn't just attract women, but creates deep, lasting attraction. If you found this valuable, hit subscribe for more insights that go beyond the surface. And drop a comment letting me know which of the 4 traits resonated with you the most. I read every comment and use them to guide future videos. Until next time, focus on growth, not perfection.